Hello. Welcome
Hello
back.
again.
Welcome back to the Anti-News. This is the first time this has happened. Hopefully it works as smoothly as it feels like it should be, but it probably isn't. Because I had two broadcasts set up, and I feel like something's got to go wrong. Because things have gone so incredibly right tonight.
I know.
Yeah.
It feels wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Before we jump into new stuff, because there will be comments on the new broadcast, I wanted to point out my favorite comment.
Don't get cocky.
My favorite comment of the public broadcast.
Yeah.
As I was kind of scrolling through, Nick's Radio. I'm not sure who that is. I feel bad for not knowing who that is.
It's Nick Bacone from Sounds Like Liberty podcast.
So he comments on two different accounts apparently. Nick's Radio.
I think he logged out of his personal one and logged back into his radio one so that people would go to that. I'm
Gotcha.
just being honest.
That's fair.
He's
That's
not a member
okay.
of the Downers Club, so it's fine.
He can plug all he wants.
Absolutely.
As long as he makes comments like this. Nick's Radio says, no, not that one. Sorry. That's not my favorite at all. Nick's Radio says, marching like the civil rights movement did. MLK, I have a dream. David Hogg, I am a meme. Love it.
It's so true. It's so painfully true.
Oh,
So when we left off, for anybody who has who was listening to the original broadcast, it feels so good to say broadcast now. We are live broadcasting. That's nice. This is a talk radio show now, but more accessible than actual talk radio shows because we're not broadcasting on some scratchy AM channel from inside our basement. Well, you're from inside your basement, but it just feels like warm and cozy, like we are broadcasting from our basement to an AM channel, but we have a couple listeners who are actually going to listen to us right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice,
and that's okay. A couple listeners is better than just us talking to each other.
Absolutely. As much as I enjoy just talking to you.
The two of us have come to a realization that really the only time we talk to each other anymore, we are recording because...
Unless we're at our grandmother's funeral.
Yeah, we should have brought recording devices, but we didn't. We didn't look that far into the future.
I can't lie. There was a part of me that was like, I should bring like my cameras and stuff because it's a funeral. How often do I get to go to a funeral? There's going to be some good footage that I could... No, shut up, brain. No, you can't use that.
Could have live streamed it though.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that'd be great for all of her friends, her like 95-year-old friends who are on Facebook looking for live streams of her funeral.
And our commentary about we'll be like golf commentaries, just talking. And if you didn't hear, the pastor just said that he was really proud of how faithful of a woman she was.
Yeah, I suppose we can get a little bit more cryptic since we're talking to almost nobody. We're talking to Downers Club members only now.
You're not nobodies. That's not what he was saying.
No, I'm saying we're talking to lesser individuals than we were before. Slightly lesser individuals than we were before. Anyway, we left off with the excruciatingly painful cliffhanger of, what was it? The John McCain?
John McCain wanted this statement read after his death. This statement must be big because other sites, I couldn't find them at this point, they must have been removed, basically said that this was John McCain's zinger to Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Like post-mortem. His post-mortem last zinger, last hurrah towards Donald Trump.
What do you want for your last meal? I want Donald Trump to not be at my funeral.
I want to feed Donald Trump a shit sandwich.
Pretty much.
One of Senator John McCain's final wishes was to tell the country not to despair of our present difficulties, but believe always in the promise and greatness of America, because nothing is inevitable here. That was the zinger.
Mm-hmm.
Ouch. Ouch, John. Way to
politicize your freaking death.
Way to throw the low blow upon death. Ouch. The present difficulties. Wow. So, did you hear though that there was some things going back and forth whether the flag was half-mast or not half-mast for John McCain? Do you hear any of that?
I have not. Do tell.
Apparently, let me look to get this straight. Because apparently the flag wasn't half-mast for a while, for like an entire day, basically. Here's this one by ABC News. Trump speaks out about McCain after ignoring questions and returns White House flag to half-staff. So, after ignoring repeated questions all day about whether he would say anything about his political nemesis, John McCain, President Donald Trump finally spoke about him Monday, saying, "Our hearts and prayers are going to the family of Senator John McCain." Do you think he said that on purpose? Because of the whole our hearts and prayers don't really mean anything on Facebook anymore. Do you think he intentionally used those exact words?
Well, it's thoughts and prayers. Thoughts and prayers.
Oh, thoughts and prayers. Okay, this is hearts and prayers.
Yeah.
He was speaking. Says the president's comment came a few hours after White House abruptly returned flag to half-staff Monday afternoon in honor of the late senator. Trump had ignored questions in the Oval Office Monday morning at other events as well. I'm trying to get to where it actually talked about the half-staff. They're not really going to talk about it. So let's find another one. Trump relents under pressure, offering respect to McCain. Yeah, this is a lot more rough than what you get in the real news. This is what you pay for, people.
Okay, well, you're saying that. I'll give my thoughts on McCain disinviting or condemning. We'll say that's the word of the day. Condemning Trump coming and speaking or having anything to do with his funeral. It's like in death. Well, I don't know. I feel like McCain was never really liked by too many people. Obviously, because he's a warmongering piece of shit, or was. I'll say it. I don't care. He was. But him making the statement that he doesn't want Trump at his funeral, he knows where the political climate is. He knows that people don't like Trump. He knows that if you're anti-Trump, then, good on you. You're on our side in one way or another. It just feels to me like it's like him knowing that he's going to die, him knowing that a lot of people don't like him for a lot of the things that he's done in his life, and him trying to half-assedly build a legacy at the very end of his life, because you've got these left-wingers now, these crazy leftists who are like, McCain wasn't that bad of a guy because he didn't like Trump, which is exactly what we said this whole time. If you don't like Trump, then you're on that team of crazy minded leftist thinking. And he, even though he did not back down on his crazy warmongeringness, if he says, I am a crazy warmonger, I am a war hawk, but I'm going to die. And also, I don't like Trump. Everybody's like, this guy, John McCain, he's a war hero. He is a war hero.
Yes. And then the fact that they actually consider him John McCain's political nemesis.
Right.
They just didn't like each other.
He never ran against John McCain, so he's not the political nemesis. Trump said... have you seen the stuff about, like, videos just recently surfaced about, okay, backpedaling, John McCain, way back when, he was a POW, he was captured, and he gave some information about stuff. Well, it's been known that he was captured as a POW, and then Trump had his statement during the 2016 campaign where he said... he was asked something about John McCain being a war hero, and he's like, well, war heroes aren't captured. And then Trump, of course, got a ton of flack for that, because that's very disgraceful to say that people who
Rightfully so.
Yeah, it makes sense, but apparently video has surfaced of John McCain being, while he was a POW, giving like information about different
Okay.
things.
This actually happened. This is not theory.
Right.
So John McCain, little history lesson on John McCain. John McCain was the son of like the head admiral of like the Pacific Fleet during Vietnam, I want to say. Yeah, Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
And so when he was captured, as well as all the other people captured with him, he was considered high profile because he's the son of big shots. And they knew he was the son of big shots. How they knew? Did he say, I'm the son of a big shot? Or did they just know?
It's like somebody, like when you take a rich person's child hostage to get money. It's like, you don't want to take me. I'm the daughter of this and this and this. That's John
Well, that's
McCain.
why we want to take you.
Yeah.
So while he was a POW, when they realized who he was, they did start giving him special treatments here and there. And if you don't know much about like soldiers and wartime and stuff like that, they are not supposed, like the officers are not supposed to receive better treatment than their men.
Right.
They are supposed to refuse that because it's the right thing to do, first of all, and it's kind of the law of war.
Yeah.
And
that could put other people underneath you in jeopardy if you give them information that they shouldn't have.
Right. From my limited knowledge, John McCain did receive some of this special treatment, and they did torture him. I'm not going to say he wasn't tortured and beaten and stuff. They tortured him for information, and he decided to give a statement, like basically condemn America or whatever it was. He gave this statement, started giving the statement, and then he needed a break. They let him have a break, and supposedly the story is he kind of recouped, was able to collect everything and re-evaluate everything. So when they came back, he was like, nope, I'm denying my statement altogether. So he did cave under pressure, and then he turned down, when they came back, he turned it down. In his defense,
people give politicians crap for backpedaling or like flip-flopping. He backpedaled and flip-flopped after giving out classified information to terrorists.
However, I don't even know if it was classified, but it was, in the very least, I think it was like denouncing what the United States was doing there in Vietnam. And that alone can be considered treasonous.
Yeah.
But I'll give him a little credit because I've never been tortured before. I probably couldn't have even held up that long. However, as the officer...
No, me neither.
As the officer, all that went against what would be considered a war hero on that level. Right. Because of different... I can't even think of the names of the rules that apply to POWs, what they train you as a POW, the information you don't give out, the way you don't behave, the way you don't accept special treatment over your fellow men. Even if you're not an officer, you're not supposed to. And you're not supposed to allow yourself to be released. I think he was released too at some point. And you're not supposed to be released before your men. Well, I mean, during this whole process, I think he was released, and he's supposed to refuse to be released before his men are released. So
yeah, and people don't really talk about that, but it's like this guy was taken captive. He was released, and then he became a big part of politics. He ran for president twice, and now he's opposing our current president. Like, what did you do wrong? Because if you were so important and they had you in their clutches, why would they have let you go?
Unless, excuse me. Oh, I'm choking on my vape.
Oh, good.
Unless he gave them some really good shit that allowed him to be let go.
Exactly.
So back to the story.
Real quick, before you go back to the story, okay. Lucas Riley, since I said we'd read all the comments, Lucas Riley says, WTF, chat and comment are two different things. Lucas, that's what I said the whole time. Don't post it in the comments below. Post it in the chat on the side. Otherwise, we won't see it. Anyway, you were saying.
Back to the story. We'll be right back. It says, in only one build Okay, hang on. President Trump, under enormous public and private pressure, finally issued a proclamation of praise. A lot of alliteration here. For
They're like
Mr.
pastors with
McCain.
their proclamations of praise of
Yes.
pastors or prisoners of
Released a
war.
proclamation of praise for Mr. McCain on Monday afternoon, 2 days after the senator's death, and ordered the flag to be flown at half-staff, seemingly in the only place it wasn't already the presidential complex. The day had begun with remarkable sight of the flag atop the White House flagpole, like all the way at the top, while just beyond the building at the Washington Monument, others fluttered midway down the poles that circled the obelisk, the satanic obelisk. The president stubbornly refused
An
repeated
obelisk,
requests.
for those that don't know, is a phallic symbol into the sky.
And a phallic symbol, for those you don't know, is a penis shape.
Mm-hmm. Look into
The
it.
day had begun with a remarkable. I read that. Said the president stubbornly refused repeated requests from officials as Senior Vice President Mike Pence and John F. Kelly, the White House Chief of Staff, to acknowledge Mr. McCain's death with a formal and unifying statement, according to four administration officials who spoke on condition of anonymity to describe private
Nailed it.
conversations. I thought so. At midday, the drama was punctuated with exclamation point or a period or a question mark. I'm not sure.
A comma.
Punctuated by the words of Mr. McCain himself. Actually, this is the zinger that I missed. This was his after-death zinger. Final statements to the nation was delivered posthumously, sure, through a top aide. John McCain said after he died, "We weaken our greatness when we confuse our patriotism with tribal rivalries that have sown resentment and hatred and violence in all the corners of the globe. We weaken it when we hide behind walls rather than tear them down, when we doubt the power of our ideals rather than trust them to the great force for change they have always been." Well, John, thank you for that statement. So basically,
Politicize
he
your
said,
death.
yeah, we're weakening our greatness by causing these rivalries amongst us, which
Which
didn't
he was
he
all
kind of?
about for
I was gonna say, didn't
99%, 0.999% of his life, up until the last 72 hours of his life. He was all for it.
wasn't yeah? I was gonna say, wasn't he equally as polarized as the current administration?
No, more. He was more polarized. There were, like, conservatives, Republicans, everybody was like, this guy's a warmonger. Like, libertarians can back a lot of Republican candidates, but this guy was like, over the top, let's go to war whenever the case arose. You want to talk about polarizing? Nobody liked you. Nobody did. Are you muted?
Yeah, my cursor like disappeared and I couldn't find where it was to click the unmute button. Yeah. So Trump finally gave in and said, despite our differences on policy and politics, I respect Senator John McCain. I respect McCain's service to our country, and in his honor have signed a proclamation to fly the flag, the great flag of the United States, the greatest in all the United States.
At half erect.
Half staff until the day of
Half
his
shaft.
Until the day that bitch was put in the ground. I mean, until the day of his interment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Great words of an even greater president. And that's not the quote, people, so don't try to sue me. But
well,
you get that was me translating it in Trump talk.
It's all right. And I mean, we basically covered this whole story already when we found out they had brain cancer. We covered whether or not you should be happy about whether or not McCain has brain cancer and, you know, things that Trump said, all that stuff, all that fun things, all that fun things. Yeah. I've had a couple
This is
drinks.
so much less smooth. So much less
So
smooth.
much less
Than
smooth,
the
but we've
main.
got 2 people listening. Lucas Riley is the only person commenting. If you're here, comment. Just so you know, this is the after party. This is not the news. This is the after party. We should probably rename it the Anti-News After Party. And I will, because by this point, hopefully, we'll all be drunk. Just saying.
Lucas, call in and join the festivities.
Yes.
Even though I can't hear you, call in because it'll be fun.
Lucas, call in, kick Craig out. It'll be fine. Then I'll cue him in after. But we have to at least address the things that were in the title. So, man, I have so much more. So much more that I want to talk about. Okay, so what's the first thing that was in the title? Was it cannibalism? I think it was. Was cannibalism or Nazis?
Hang on, I'm gonna look. Says Anti-News live cannibals, Nazis, and front holes.
All right, we'll start.
I want to know about front holes.
You haven't heard about this?
It sounds kinky.
All right, well, we'll get there. Okay, so cannibals. We'll start with. Okay, the headline. This is from thesun.co.uk, so you know it's legit. Sausage made from human blood and tacos filled with a man's chopped off foot meet the people who want to eat each other and themselves. So, here's the story. The texture. What?
I'm intrigued.
The texture was good. It looked tasty. There was a nice hint of spice. If Gwen hadn't have spent all day cooking it, she'd probably never have guessed that the sausage she was eating had been made from human blood. She invited one of her friends over to try the meat dish as well and served it up at a candlelit table with a side salad and a gourmet-style bloody drizzle. They both agreed, too much soy sauce, but otherwise delicious.
That's terrible. Oh, of all the things in this meal, there is too much soy sauce.
Last month, Gwen Vanderzwan, which sounds like a totally not made-up name, from the Netherlands. Okay, it's not a made-up name. Tried cannibalism for the first time. However, she's no Hannibal Lecter, and no humans were hurt in the making of her dinner, except there was a severed foot, so somebody was injured.
Did she intentionally ingest the foot?
Hold on. Instead, she made the meal from her own blood, which she had painstakingly drained into a medical bag that day after becoming fascinated with the idea of trying a human sausage. This next part is a quote. Why is my idea considered disgusting, but doing the same thing with pig's blood isn't, end quote, she asked
because it's
at the time.
Foot. Because simply for the fact that you're eating your own blood and eating a foot.
Yeah, there's pictures. Hold on. Let me screen share this.
All right.
Because this is really important to share and going to discuss to everybody. That's not the right scene. Here you go. How about that? All right, Craig, sadly you can't see this, but there's some sort of appendage with blood around it and looks like a tomato and a cucumber. So underneath that it says the sausage was served with a drizzle of her own blood as well as a little bit of salad.
Well, you gotta stay healthy. You gotta throw that salad in.
Right. Although she's rare in acting publicly on her unusual tastes, Gwen is far from the only one to be fascinated by cannibalism. Dating-style fetish sites match up those desperate for human flesh with those who want nothing more than to be eaten alive themselves. That's a totally reasonable sentence to
if
read.
They want it for themselves, if they wish it upon themselves, then it is okay for them to eat others.
Yep.
So where is the article going to specify where the foot came from?
We'll see. Quote, cannibal seeks meal, end quote. One post read. Start quote again. This 37-year-old male seeks a nice cut piece of meat. I prefer girls. End quote. Not creepy enough? All right. Another says, quote, I'm a 30-something man looking for a female so we can sample each other's flesh, cut together, cook together, eat together. No lethal cuts so we can enjoy eating one another. And there's a fitting pic of Hannibal Lecter there. Silence of the Lambs villain Hannibal Lecter is known for his macabre cravings for human flesh. Yes, no shit. Would-be victims refer to themselves as, quote, long pigs, end quote, a term meaning human flesh which was used by man-eating Pacific Islanders who thought people taste like pork, then eat fucking pork. But why would anyone want to eat or be eaten someone else? Or eaten by someone else? Experts say that cannibalism is largely to do with power. Breaking the ultimate taboo leaves man-eaters feeling euphoric. Therapist Karen Hyland has even suggested that cannibalism can become addictive for a small number of people with psychosomatic tendencies, comparing the act of eating someone to a cocaine high. And then there's pictures, there's more talk. On Reddit, a growing number of posters chat openly about their fascination with cannibalism, although comments seem to often be driven more by a morbid curiosity than anything else. Okay. Even that is gross. Bill Shute, author of Cannibalism? I suppose that's the name of something. A perfectly natural history, ate a human placenta when writing his book. He told Sun...
that just got him in the mood. Yeah. Got him in the writing spirit.
Yeah, which I've heard of people eating placentas for health benefits. That is horrifying enough. I don't know if that qualifies as cannibalism.
Placenta?
Yes.
Have you ever seen placenta?
I've never...
Kids. The placenta I've seen and the two children I've been around to the birthing experience of, I never looked at it and I was like, you know what? I bet that tastes good on the grill.
Nope.
I bet that sizzles up nicely.
Nope, but it's must be tasty. All right. Nope. I went to the wrong thing. What just happened? Okay, it went to the... Never mind. Okay. No concern to you, Craig. But switching back to here. Bill, he told Sunshine Online, quote, we think cannibalism is revolting because that's what our culture dictates. Our culture, or our other cultures that didn't get that memo have very different attitudes toward cannibalism. For example, in the mid-20th century, the Wari people of Brazil were apparently just as upset to find that Western anthropologists buried their dead as the anthropologists were aghast to learn the Wari ate their loved ones after they died. I have to continue. I want to cut this off and comment on it, but the next big bold headline here, as everybody can see, the man who served his friends foot tacos. In June, a 38-year-old man took to Reddit to share the story, verified by Vice, so you know it's legit, of a dinner party where his friends tucked into their meal made from his amputated foot.
Oh my gosh.
After a motorbike accident in 2016, he had a smashed limb cut off and doctors let him keep it. Thanks for the souvenir. Then, 3 weeks later, he threw a brunch for 10 willing friends where the main course was tacos made from the flesh which had been amputated. The anonymous man posted photos of the dish and explained how he kept his mangled foot in the freezer until it was time to cook. Need I read on? I think not, but there are definitely pictures there. I'll scroll down so you guys can see the pictures of the sautéed foot. The meaty tacos reportedly tasted good despite being made from an amputated foot. Oh, there's some nice veggies in there. There's some... Oh, holy shit. That's good, the world we're living in now.
So... Oh my gosh. Is this going to become a norm? Like, we're predicting pedophilia is turning into the new norm. Is cannibalism also becoming a norm? Are they desensitizing us against
Here,
cannibalism and pedophilia at the same time so we can get on board with the eating of human children?
since we're in the Downers Club and we're not being broadcast live, I'm going to definitively say 100% absolutely. Like, this is yes, yes. The people meeting on dating sites and eating part of each other because it gives them a rush. It gives them a cocaine high.
How else do you share each other? Like when the Bible says flesh becomes flesh, I mean, they're taking this to the literal extreme here.
Yeah. I assume it's a religious practice, so we cannot discriminate. Holy
now,
shit.
When God took a rib from Adam for Eve, it wasn't to create Eve, it was for Eve to eat.
She had the first ribs.
Yeah, slathered with barbecue sauce. So I creep out friends many times by kind of relating, like referencing The Silence of the Lambs or one of them Hannibal movies, and saying that the most tender cut of meat is it's called the oyster. It's like the lower, like just under the big back muscle. It's like slightly. If you cook chicken, it's the same spot on a chicken. There's like, if you cook a whole chicken, you can find the oyster of the chicken. It's just below the back muscle. There's this little tiny piece of meat, and it is seriously the most tender cut. But Hannibal says,
"Are you saying that about humans?
Are you saying that? I'm saying
that for a fact?
I know for a fact on a chicken that's what it is. Hannibal says that on humans it's the same. The oyster just beneath the back tissue, the back muscle, is the most tender cut. So if you ever have the chance to eat human flesh, that's what you go for.
Yeah, and we said we would read all the comments, so I'm gonna just give these comments, throw them out here. Lucas Riley says, "I have no beer. Oh, I will be prepared next time." Lucas, I would appreciate you more if you showed up to the party, at least pre-gamed, and at the very least with game ready to go. Lucas,
yeah, don't go to a party empty-handed, Lucas. Come on.
Lucas has to know that. I have partied with Lucas once in my life at Beer Olympics at Tyler Mills' house. Tyler might hear this eventually.
Olympics.
Yep. Lucas Riley also says, "Did you see the pictures of the guy's foot/leg meat after it was cooked?" Yes, I showed that. Lucas Riley says, "My whole body just shuddered." Yes, and you know what? Shudder all you want, because that just tenderizes you up for the next person on who knows what chat or what dating site will.
Oh my goodness. I just realized. I just got an epiphany.
Me
so
too.
you know the difference between wild game and like domestic game, like game that's been like animals that have been kept in tiny little pens,
Tender
and fattened up,
tender,
super duper fat, super duper fat.
This is not a comment about you, Lucas.
No, this is back to the subject of matter. What have the food companies in America been doing to us for the last 30 years?
They've been feeding us corn-fed, caged animals so that we get more sugars, more things that fatten us up,
so
and
we're not
encourage us to
gamey.
sit around and not go out and catch food or go out and raise food or anything like that.
So we're not so gamey. I mean, have you ever tried? I haven't, but I've heard trying
Soylent
like
Green?
rabbit. Wild rabbit is supposed to be really tough and gamey because they have their own muscles. But if you were to eat pet Fluffy, who's been sitting in that little 2x2 cage, I bet that's a delicious rabbit because of how tender and marbleized the meat is with all the fat mixed in.
Remind me to snag an audio clip from the Soylent Green movie for future reference, because that seems pretty relevant these days, and it's going to become more relevant as time goes on. They're not just fattening up the animals. Them fattening up the animals is fattening us up. That goes without saying. Lucas Riley also says, as the old saying goes, quote, "He put his foot in his mouth." after he turned into tacos. That is fair.
I got it.
Forrest says, I need more wine. Yes, I understand. It's only going to get
all the wine.
I would say it's only going to get worse, but I'm not sure if it does get worse from here. We're supposed to be off in 15 minutes, but we do have to address the other two stories that I have in the title at the very least. Lucas says, I really don't give a shit if you read my comments. Lucas, we're going to, because your comments are just comment gold.
It's probably more entertaining than our comments.
Quite possibly, yes. But either way, there's two people watching. I'm assuming, just putting this out there, I'm assuming it's Lucas and Forrest. All right. Anyway, so that's that for cannibalism. And yes, conspiratorially or not, I mean, this is next. This is normalizing it. This is making it out to be, yeah, if you consent to it, it's fine. But even if two adults consent to it, fine, whatever, eat each other. But then what? What do you do after that? If this gives you a cocaine highs are notoriously addictive. What do you do after the consenting party is done?
And what happens when you can no longer get that cocaine that your best friend gave you?
Exactly.
And you go find more. So here's my take on it, and then we'll switch over. We supposedly, quote unquote, have a food shortage in the world. We supposedly, quote unquote, have an overpopulation problem in the world. I mean, you just killed two people with one stone.
Man, if anybody thinks that Soylent Green wasn't predicting at this point, I mean, at the time, everybody's like, holy crap, that's a fascinating movie. What if that was happening?
I haven't seen it.
It would not surprise me in the least. I haven't seen it either, but I know the premise. You know the premise, right?
But it sounds like a very, very clean house cleaning product.
You know the premise of the movie, right? Or no?
It has something to do with cannibalism.
Well, it's like they get off like meat-based things, then they have this one all-in-one meal thing that they eat over and over again. And that spoiler alert, if like you haven't watched this since the 70s, which I still haven't, but I know the premise, it ends up being they're killing people and grinding them up and feeding them to people.
I have heard that. That is horrifying. Yeah. Absolutely.
Does it sound that far-fetched now in 2018?
After this article, no.
No.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Lucas says, haha, how rude. I don't remember what we said. Lucas also says, eating each other is called 69ing, Dan. The Downers Club, where things get even worse than cannibalism. All right.
Same guy that made the bukkake comment last week?
No, I don't think it is, actually. Surprisingly. All right, I'm going to pull up another thing here. I think there's a video, so I'll switch over. 1 second.
Paulie has been taken to a home for the elderly in Aalen, Germany, but it's not clear what happens next. The prosecutor who heads Germany's Nazi hunting bureau says investigations have unearthed insufficient evidence to prosecute. So Germany has issued no arrest warrant.
In Germany, being a member of a criminal organization like the Nazi SS is not enough to be prosecuted for. Even being trained at a camp is not sufficient. The aid and the participation in a murder must be proven.
Some top Nazi leaders were put on trial right after World War II at Nuremberg. But critics say many senior figures escaped, leaving their juniors, small cogs in the Nazi death machine, to be put on trial decades later.
So, did you hear about this?
No. Are we still talking about this?
This is new. But first off, I want to point out, while this video is trying to play, I want to point out this over here for those that are watching in this video about Trump deporting a Nazi. The ad on the side is for Michael's Fun World. Laser tag, indoor batting cages, trampoline, basketball, and bowling.
And Jew targets.
Yep. No, apparently our white supremacist Nazi leader decided to deport a Nazi, an actual Nazi who served with the SS, and
Was he wearing a MAGA hat?
he was not. The strangest thing about this is that it was like back in, let's see here. I've got the article up. I don't want to read the whole thing, but he was convicted of being a Nazi and being I don't know. Well, he got his citizenship because he lied and said that he was not a Nazi, obviously, and he gained citizenship to the United States, and he was allowed to be here for many, many years, and it was in like 2000.
Brought him here.
What?
Or we brought him here because he had something we could gain from.
Yeah, most likely. Look into it. But yeah, he was here, and in 2004, it was determined that he lied, and he was basically a war criminal, and we supposedly tried deporting him, but Germany didn't want him, and his home country, which I don't remember, didn't want him. Nobody would take him back. So we've kept him, and he's been a legal citizen, not locked up or anything, just been there, but no other country would take him, so we're like, yeah, just hang out for a while, we'll see what happens. And now Trump deport him because Germany has agreed to take him back. Germany does not know what they're going to do with him, because rightfully so, just because you're a Nazi, a literal Nazi, until we have evidence that you committed actual war crimes, their words, we can't really, prosecute you for anything. So that's what's happening with this guy. He's like 95. He's almost dead.
Wow.
And clearly this is a PR thing, because Trump's like, you calling me a Nazi? Getting the Nazi out of here. But this is the first thing that I've heard that Trump has done that the Democrats are like, okay, yeah, good job. They don't say anything about how George Bush or Barack Obama, none of them did anything about this.
Now, if we don't want him and they don't want him, whatever happened to the old-fashioned walk the plank? International waters. I mean, if you survive, great. If not, equally great, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean,
from a pragmatic standpoint, I can agree, but me personally, I'm not a fan of the death penalty, especially since we don't know what this guy did. We don't know.
I'm not saying kill him. I'm saying just send him swimming. I mean, nobody wants him, so put him out where...
Well, if you shoot somebody in the head, you don't know if they'll die either. So
That's true. That's true.
It's the same thing. But, yeah, it's just... It's funny that it takes Trump exporting a 95-year-old Nazi back to Germany for people to be like, okay, But, Craig, have you heard anybody report on this?
You?
Yeah.
Just you.
Yeah. Starting to think we're the news, not the
We
anti-news.
are. We're the real deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. So the video you played, was that in regards to this, or was that another Nazi problem they were having and this just kind of came up, or was that specifically about this?
No, that was just him. I wasn't really listening to what they were saying, but that was on the actual article. They deported, we'll say Trump deported a 95-year-old Nazi. And I read something earlier that said, I already closed the article, so I can't pull it back up. But it was something about how Trump made this. He told some guy who was newly appointed to this kind of field, he told him that he is our number one priority. Let's get that guy out of here. Of course, it's a PR stunt, but can you blame the guy for having a PR stunt at this point when anything he does is related to the Nazis?
Well, obviously, the left is going to say that he only did it to get people off his back about being a Nazi, because you can't be a Nazi and deport Nazis, so clearly
Right.
That's the only reason he did it, which...
They're not wrong. I'm
more
saying
than
that
likely
too.
true.
And he's not wrong to do it either.
No, exactly. So I'm just just gonna throw out there that he's probably in the United States because we brought him here during Operation Paperclip, and he had a lot to offer then. And now at 95 years old, he has nothing to offer besides sucking on our health care. And so they decided, we're done with him. We release him.
Mm-hmm.
And they were probably done with him in 2004 when he was discovered. Was probably because that would have put him at like 84. So basically nothing left off. Or anyway, they've milked him dry of all his quote unquote talents, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Talents, Nazi talents.
He's dead.
And
He's
dead. They're
He's
like, you know
basically
what?
dead.
Let's just expose this guy for who he is because we can't really afford him anymore. So let's just come out with it. Oh, we found this Nazi that's been living here all this time.
Like I said, it's bizarre that this guy was, he was deemed a Nazi, a literal Nazi, back in or before 2004, and we're just like, well, nobody else will take him, so we won't lock you up or anything. We'll just let you be a citizen. Like, how is that not being held against all the other presidents? Because obviously this guy's been on the radar, and we've had our eye on him, or at least the presidents have. How is it not Obama's fault for not shipping him back?
Right. Real quick, side note, your battery's about to die.
Noted. And while I change out my battery, I will switch out to my crappy camera. And Lucas Riley says, "Sigh, we are still hunting Nazis?" ? And he also says, "I heard about this. Have no clue where though. I intake too much media. It all blurs." And that brings me to the point of Lucas, Forrest, whoever listens to this in the future, if you guys have news articles, send them to me at dan@tsidpod.com. dan@tsidpod.com. Yes, that is confirmed. And we will cover them. Forrest brought up the shooting earlier, so send them to me. Don't just post them in the forum. Post them in the forum, but send them to me so I know to bring light to them, and I will send them to Craig as well.
I like how you almost seemed to consult your assistant to verify your own personal email address, which all of us here understand that you don't have an assistant, so you just consulted yourself and verified through yourself.
I just had to stop and think about it for a second. That's all.
You just fact-checked yourself.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
Fact-checked in my brain.
Did you switch to your crappy camera or just turn the camera off?
I'm on my crappy camera. My other camera is turned back on. It might take a second to register, at which point I will switch back.
Black screen of black. But that's okay. I can talk to nothing. So, I think we've beat the Nazi horse.
We have beat the Nazi horse. We are also pretty much at our time for the night, but we have to bring up the front hole. Have you heard about the front hole, Craig?
I don't even know what this is. Like I said before, it sounds very kinky, and I would love to know about your front hole.
Yeah. I would like to have my camera switch back anytime here.
I can see it must be different on your end than it is on Skype because I see your HD cam and I didn't see anything when you were supposedly switched.
It's back. All right, cool. All right, so the front hole scenario, there's been an update, and I actually had an article pulled up about the update, so I'll give you some background history on what the front hole is. There was apparently an article that came out on Healthline that was talking about vaginas, and it was referring to it as the front hole because vagina could be discriminatory.
So I was correct.
I
thought it
correct.
sounded like a vagina, and it was about a vagina.
So I will read the follow-up to that. Healthline. Well, a bunch of people, a bunch of, as they would say, conservative media people posted about the front hole, saying that they're trying to change the name of vagina. Healthline.com.
That is the medical term. How is it discriminatory?
Hold
That's
on.
like me.
They're gonna
That's
explain.
like me. hang on. That's like me saying a penis needs to be called the front schlong or
Well,
the front flap. I don't know.
That's the thing. If you're retitling vagina to front hole because there are some transgender people who think that they have vaginas and actually have penises, what do you call the penis for the females who are transitioning into a male who still have a vagina and feel like it's a penis?
Front appendage.
It's so confusing. But this is from Healthline.com after the outrage of their former post. The title of this post is "We are not renaming the vagina." So, dear readers, some people are under the impression that Healthline is now using the term, quote, front hole instead of vagina. This is simply not true, as one of the world's leading health websites, self-acclaimed, we place a huge emphasis on standards of accuracy, integrity, and balance. Every article we publish undergoes a rigorous editorial process and extensive medical review. In the LGBTQIA, there's 2 new letters now.
LGBT queer.
Yes. In the LGBTQIA XMNLO Lemon LOP Safe Sex Guide, we use both front hole and vagina. Quote, front hole is one of the numerous accepted terms for genitalia we use specifically for certain members of the trans community who identify with it. In no instance in this guide are we saying we want to replace the word vagina. Quote, front hole as another term for vagina is also used by the National Institutes of Health, Human Rights Campaign, BMC Pregnancy and Childbirth Journal, and Fenway Health. I've never heard of any of these things, but I don't look into health online. In collaboration with Harvard Medical School, the National LGBT, I like how the National LGBT still has it pretty narrow. They're pretty bigoted. Health Education Center.
I'm offended.
Yep. Health Education Center and the Massachusetts League of Community Health Centers. In addition to scientific clinical terminology, we also use unbiased, inclusive, and contemporary terms in order to best serve all our readers. The LGBTQIA 1234 Safe Sex Guide was created for a specific audience. Nothing in the article indicates we're endorsing a change in verbiage. It's clear in its purpose to present unbiased, expert-backed content toward health seekers in the LGBTQIA ABCDEFG community.
This is
Simply
exhausting.
put, our purpose in creating this guide was to provide safe sex information for those who are so often left out of this conversation. Healthline is proud to be an active participant in the ongoing discussion about sexual health and well-being. So, they're not changing the definition, they're adding it to the discussion because some guys feel like they're girls. And they don't have vaginas, but they want their penises to be called vaginas because they're not only are their brains mentally women, their penis brains are mentally vaginas.
Or front holes.
Front holes now, yes. It's like,
So-
isn't front hole just as like,
That sounds more
Isn't that-
derogatory.
well, isn't that the same? Like a man, I guess a man still has a front hole, but nobody's putting anything in it.
Well, most men don't put anything in it.
you're
Some,
doing it right.
I am sure, do, but most don't. I just don't even know what to say about this article. Like, we had to release an article stating that we are not changing the name to Front Hole. But in case you're wondering, there is this alternative name for people who don't want to use the term vagina. We do have an alternative for you. Why are we reporting on it, and why isn't there a report
We're
on
reporting
this.
on it because it's fascinating. I mean,
It is
the thing is,
fascinating.
like, if you're a transgender woman, you feel like you're a woman, you have a penis. You know that you have a penis. That should go without saying. That's why you feel. Now we're changing the definition of
Part.
man parts and woman parts. How can you be born in the wrong body if you have a vagina?
Yeah.
And
And
why are you
in the
cutting
case
it,
of
slitting it down the
in-
middle and rolling it back and turning it into a vagina if you thought that it was
Well,
already a vagina?
and in the case of people that do go through the full surgery, they don't like pussy out, and they actually go through the full surgery. I mean, front hole out.
I would say they do pussy out.
Would I mean, would it be offensive to you to call the thing that you created to look like a vagina to actually call it a vagina? That's what you wanted.
Right.
Why is it a problem to call it what it is that you wanted? I want to be a woman, but I don't want you to refer to my parts as lady parts. I want them to be referred to as parts.
Right.
Just parts.
Yeah. If you want to call your penis a vagina, fine.
Go for it. I
Go
don't
for
care.
it.
I don't care what you call yourself or what you call your parts.
If you want to call yourself a
Even
man,
if you
go
don't,
for
even
it,
if
or
you
a
want
woman,
to call it
go
a
for
front hole, I don't care. I'm not going to call it a front hole. I'm going to call it what it is. Just, I mean, because I'm a dick. Well, there we go again. So many
You
puns.
mean you're a front hole?
I'm a front hole, and I'm not a puss. I mean, a
You're
front hole.
an elongated front hole. I don't know. Is there a difference now? I don't know. It's
a
like
front hole extension, an extended front hole.
well, they're saying they're not changing the definition. It's healthline.com. They're trying to be inclusive for health reasons so everybody can relate. Like if you called it a penis, the people who have a penis and consider themselves women won't know what you're talking about. Like that seems demeaning to their intelligence. But
Right.
I wish this was in the public live broadcast because this needs to be talked about. Maybe we'll open the next one with this. Just recap what you missed in the bonus. But it's like, so if healthline.com, if they post an article that says, if you have this going wrong with your vagina, and that's not a thing that people have clinically wrong with penises, are they supposed to be concerned about that? Like, I've got nothing. I've got
Where
nothing.
it gets really sticky is the medical field, because somebody comes in to a hospital and complains that their front hole is infected. If you don't know this term,
Or
you're
even
gonna
if
be
you do,
incredibly
you
confused.
still have to be like, which kind of front hole? The front hole that's 3 to 6 inches away from your body, or the front hole that's inside your body cavity?
And that's where it gets really confusing. And I do think at this point in age, medical personnel do need a special kind of training for this kind of circumstance, because I've heard in school, I've been in classes with medical students or medical professionals who are going back to school, and they have said there has been people that have come in and they have complained of abdominal pain, and the first thing you do for a woman is order a pregnancy test. And these transgendered people get offended when they're offered a pregnancy test. They're like offended by it. It's like,
That
well,
should be a
obviously-
compliment. That means you were passable. That
Right,
means we
it's like-
thought that you had an inner cavity front hole.
It's like we mentioned before when we were talking about hate speech, and how if you want to be called something and I don't call you it right the first time, don't be mad because I didn't know that. You can't be offended by medical personnel
Right.
thinking that you're a woman and ordering normal, natural woman tests.
They're probably the
when you-
only person that got you confused with the woman. So you should be
Right.
happy.
Right.
But
So,
nothing is
I mean,
right.
Do everyone a favor and make it public knowledge. Add it, like call your medical professional, like your personal caregiver, and say, I want this added in my medical record with a big asterisk and an underline and bold letters.
big
So when I do go in,
phallic-shaped
I don't
asterisk.
get the embarrassment of them saying, ma'am, you need a pregnancy test, when obviously I can't get pregnant. It's like, just do us all a favor, and we just won't seem like as big of assholes, because we will know how to treat you, how to respond, if you just tell us how to do it.
That's the thing. It's like I can sympathize with you if you're like, I feel like I was born a female, but my body is a man's. I can understand how that is frustrating and terrible. I can't imagine living with that. But the reason why you feel like you're born in the wrong body is because you have a penis. If you call it something else, then I can't sympathize with you, because it's not a penis anymore and nothing means anything. Like, where do you want me to sympathize with you? I'm trying my best to understand what you're going through. I was born with a penis and an elongated front hole. Not that elongated, let's be honest. But an elongated front hole and...
slightly extended.
Yes, it's the mobile version of the front hole. Yeah, but I don't know. I could rant about this
Compact
forever.
for convenience.
It shows up when it's needed. But I don't know. It's like, where do you want us to sympathize? I don't even know where the line is of sympathy anymore. Like, is it mental? Is it physical? Like, if you're saying that there's no difference between men and women, we're saying, like feminists are saying, which are somewhere in this algorithm of LGBTQAI 1 2 3 4 7 8 XYZ whatever
asterisks
whatever
$sign,
it is.
hashtag.
Yes, feminists are in there somewhere, I believe, and I don't know. They don't like penises in general. Which side are these transgenders on? Which side? Like, the whole thing makes so little sense, and the whole thing eats itself alive, and it's only a matter of time before these groups are just like, screw it all, you're right, we were ridiculous. Let's just be humans together, and we can just deal with this. And that's all I'm calling for. Let's just be honest humans. Call a penis, a vagina, a vagina. If you want to call yourself a woman, fine. If you're a man, fine. I don't really care. You can pretend to be whatever you want to be, but or you
turn
can
into a major asshole. You drink.
Okay, you can feel like you're whatever you want to be, and I will support that. I don't give a shit, but I don't even know what I have anymore. If you're changing medical terms on the whole spectrum, there's no cutoff. There's only a cutoff when you decide to make that cutoff.
There's so many unintended
At which point, I still don't know what to call it.
Well, we have plowed right through this front hole story. Gone in and out of it.
Oh, it asked for it.
Pushed it to the limits. Stretched it over our heads.
I'm doing my best. I'm trying.
This story, we just raped this front hole story.
And like I said to Brian McWilliams on today's episode of the actual show, Patton Oswalt, who I know you don't like, it's like he even had a joke. He's like super lefty, liberal, whatever, super SJW type, like let everybody be what they want to be. And even he had his joke like a year or two ago, probably 2 years ago, before it was this crazy. And he's like, you know what? I'm totally fine with calling you whatever you want to be. I'm doing my best, but tranny was a totally acceptable term like a month ago. I'm trying my hardest, but when you're changing definitions of words, you're changing titles to mean something completely different. If tranny was okay once to mean transitioning human, which is probably also offensive, when these words change definition by the hour, how can you expect us to not be offensive no matter how hard we try? What do you want from us?
Right. I just don't, like, I'm getting to the point where I care less than I did.
That's all they're doing. And especially if they're lumping it in with the gays. It's like, gays, great, be gay. But you're adding a new letter by the month. I don't know what I'm supposed to be outraged about or what I'm supposed to be sympathetic to. But Lucas Riley says, the front stick. And he also says the front obelisk, which is my new term for a penis.
Which we brought up earlier in the broadcast.
Yes, let's say we're not going to call them penises and vaginas. We'll call them the front obelisk or the front cavern. Lucas Riley, who is apparently the one person still listening, also says, I get so nervous around my trans friends. I just know I'm going to fuck up and say something wrong. I don't need that pressure. Exactly. That's all we ask. We're not trying to be douchebags, but it's like if you change the meaning of words, you can't expect us to keep up with the latest dictionary that you published last night while we were asleep.
Are they going to publish like a new edition of the dictionary every 6 months, 3 months, however often they come up with a new term? Do we get the latest edition? Are we supposed to keep up on this? Is it like do they give automatic updates of the dictionary? Like it's like your dictionary's out of date. Click here for your latest updates.
They have to. And they have to give notifications to you on your desktop or in your brain so that you know not to wake up in the morning and tweet, hey, my dick hurts today. Oh, you mean your elongated front hole obelisk? That is to men who are born a certain way? Like, I hate using the term slippery slope. Slippery slope. Speaking of slippery slope, my brain is slippery. But I hate using the term slippery slope. But, I mean, can anybody look at this and not think, where the fuck are we going? What's next? I'm not like my grandpa. I'm saying if you're born a man and want to call yourself a woman, fine, I'll call you that, I guess. Doesn't make it scientifically accurate. But if you change all the terminology, I'm going to be a bigot within 6 months. If I'm not now, I am now, obviously.
That's why I said I'm caring less and less the more they push and push and push. Because before I was like, yeah, there is some concern here. I would feel disappointed if people were just constantly, intentionally going against how I felt. But now you're just getting to the point where I'm like, okay, I'm just getting to the point where I just don't give a shit anymore.
Right. Yeah. How can I care? If I care and I try, I will be wrong. Lucas says, we need the, quote, trans person coloring book. That's from Lucas. That would be great, except for by the time you got it published, it would be very offensive. Very offensive. Not just obsolete. It would be heretical and offensive. Lucas, call in. Call in right now and give us the closer of the night. Since you're the only person listening, give us the closer, and then I will kick you out and bring Craig back in. Call in at 309-716-3818. Lucas, I am talking specifically and only to you, and I know you're listening. Hole. Do not be a front hole or a back hole. Craig, while we're waiting for Lucas to call in, have you listened to anything from Brian Posehn?
No. But Lucas better call quickly because I have shit to do.
I need to go too. But my favorite joke that I heard probably 3 or 4 years ago, it'd be totally way more offensive now. Wait, Lucas said it'll be a gold mine. There would
do it.
I think he's talking about the coloring book. There would have to be a new edition every quarter. That's very true. We will publish that, and we will republish it 3 months from now. But yeah, Brian Posehn's bit that I love, that I quote all the time for some reason. It keeps coming up, but he's like, yeah, I did her in the B-hole. I mean, some people call it the A-hole, but if we're being honest, in terms of quality, it's really the B-hole.
Got it.
Now we have to call it the back hole. Lucas, I know there's a 20-second or so delay on this broadcast, but call in and let us wrap up this night. Give us your words of wisdom, because we don't know how to end a broadcast. So call in right now. He's calling. All right. Craig, yes. I'll talk to you shortly. Assuming this is Lucas. Lucas, you're on the line. What's up?
What is that? I have to pause YouTube. That was really freaky.
You have to what?
I had to pause YouTube. That was really weird.
Yeah, that's the problem with live broadcasting. You have to silence everything around you, otherwise it'll be way off.
We are live. That is pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, we are live for you and only you, and this will go out to the downers who were not dedicated enough to chime in tonight. But thank you for
What is
being the
wrong
only
with you
one.
people? Come on.
Yeah, Forrest was here for a minute, but he left about halfway through.
Poser.
So,
Just wanted to
Lucas,
appear.
Lucas, you've been here for almost the entire broadcast, from the public show to the more edgy, quiet show. Any thoughts? Anything? Any comments that you have on anything that we talked about tonight?
Okay, let's talk about the Roseanne thing real quick.
Taking it back up to the top. All right.
Okay. So, knowing someone that's lost their spouse, I hope that Dan is just in a constant state of depression and can't get out of bed for at least 3 or 4 months.
Why?
That's not going to make good TV. How is this character going to be?
I thought you were talking about me.
Anyone's
I was like, I didn't lose my spouse.
Oh,
it's
no.
not relatable. But yeah.
How is that going to be a character anyone's going to want to watch?
Right. They're going to have to jump ahead like 6 months to a year for him to even be able to manage with it. It would be great if they picked it up right where the Roseanne show left off, and he's just like not even in the picture. They go in and talk to him every now and then. He's like, "Leave me alone, leave me alone." I came back not from the brink of death. I literally came back from death in the original Roseanne show, and I'm not happy that my wife died.
They need to give her a concrete way that she died, not just be like, oh, it's sad she had a tragic accident. I want to know why she died, which
Right.
I'm sure they're not going to tell you.
Well, yeah, it's like Princess Leia in episode 9. What are they going to do there?
Oh, she'll come back somehow.
Yeah, they've said that they have enough footage from episodes, like extra footage from 7 and 8, that they're going to work her back in. But I kind of just want her to die in the scroll. Unfortunately, the Roseanne show does not have an opening scroll for them to say. A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, Roseanne passed away because she was way too racist for anybody to handle, and we murdered her.
Oh, they should make her get killed like a gorilla attack or something, just to tie it back into this whole thing.
They bring Harambe back to life, just like Dan.
Yes.
They bring Harambe back to life. He makes a guest appearance and kills Roseanne. How good of a sport would it be for Roseanne to come back in the first episode of the Connors show, or whatever it's called, and her to play her own death?
Oh, I think she would do it.
She might. I mean, she's got more balls than any of us. But
And I also think we need to stop hunting the Nazis. If they're that old, that guy was 95, just let the guy die in peace.
leave him alone. None of the other presidents cared. Just let him die. He's a legal citizen for one reason or another. It's not Trump's fault that he's a legal citizen. Let him die. Whatever.
He did bad shit, but what's he going to do when he's 95?
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, if we're looking at this as though it's a court hearing, we don't, unless we have evidence that he did bad shit. We know that he had a label slapped on him, and that's it. We know that he served in different camps. We don't have any real evidence that he did bad shit, and that's what Germany is saying. They're saying until we have evidence that he killed anybody or carried out any of these things personally, we're not going to hold him accountable for that, because he's just guilty by association at the point.
I don't see anyone calling for KKK members to be
right.
put to trial. And
well, I'm sure you could find them. I'm sure they're out there. People calling for David Duke to be put on trial for associating with the KKK. But that doesn't make it right.
Yeah.
So any other... I mean, we've covered a lot tonight. Any other comments on any other stories?
The front hole thing is... that's a doozy.
I don't even know where to go with
that. That's all I got to say about that, because I don't want to get into more trouble than I'm already going to be.
If you think you're going to get in trouble for listening to this, then, man, I mean, we're all going to get in trouble because in 5 years, all the dialogue is going to change. All the words are going to mean something completely different. And we're all going to be complete heretics and bigots in 5 years from now, no matter what we say.
That is so true. That is so true. And, well, if what we're saying is wrong now, maybe in 5 years it will come back around and the people will agree with us. You don't know.
Hopefully. And I kind of predict that there's going to come a point very soon. I think all this SJW nonsense is going to come to a head where people are like, too far. Too far. You've gone too far. I can't support this anymore. We've already got the, whatever it is, the walkout. I don't remember what it is. The Leave the Democrat Party hashtag where Democrats are against the Democrat Party. I think it's all going to come to a head where people start to not like get woke to some of the crazy things, but they're at least going to be like too far. I mean, how long can the acronym for LGBTQ, AAIP, LG, whatever? I mean, we've only got so many letters. How far can this go before people start to say, you know what, just stop. Let's just live.
Well, I'll end my call with something. I think when I have kids or grandkids, I'll be very excited to one day tell them, I remember when a vagina was called a vagina and a penis was called a penis.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be a distant memory where words had meaning. But do you have anything to say on the cannibalism thing?
I would like to say I wouldn't try it, but I think I would try foot tacos.
I mean, honestly, like, if somebody was like, hey, I've got this foot. Well, my question is, like, you've got, like, people who are donating their organs to science, or they're donating them to, you know, they're donating their whole bodies to science, or they're donating their organs to other people who need them. At what point do you put on your driver's license, I'm donating my left arm to whoever feels like they experience euphoria from consuming my left arm?
Right, because most of that body is going to go to waste.
Right. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I'm not for cannibalism, but if I was stranded on Desert Island and there was a dead person there and I was going to die if I die from starvation, I'd give it a shot. And if somebody was willing to sacrifice their limbs and they wanted to see me eat it, I'm not saying I would. I don't know. Where do you stand on that? If let's say Tyler, if he designated his 10th toe, which is non-existent, to let's see how this tastes, and he wanted to fry it up into a little smoky, would you take a shot?
If Tyler volunteered up a toe. Oh, man.
For those that don't know, listening,
what? I would do, yes,
the 29 Toes podcast is named that because Tyler has 9 toes. The two other guys are normal humans. But you were saying?
That's not the only reason Tyler's not normal, but I would eat it. I'd try. I'd nibble on a toe smoky as long as someone else did it with me.
All right. Well, would you eat a Bigfoot foot?
No, that'd be sacrilegious. I can't eat a Bigfoot foot.
Well, those are spiritual, as was established on the episode that I was on.
Right. I'm sure they have magic powers.
Yeah. It'll come back to haunt you. I wonder if anybody's been haunted by a Bigfoot. Because according to Tyler, they've died. We just have no evidence of any dead Bigfoot. Big feet.
No, it's because they're so good at grinding up all the bones after the meat decomposes.
Mm-hmm. Yep. They're probably cannibalistic, too. That would explain why there's no big feet remains.
I want to say Tyler has told that to me before, that they eat their dead.
Sounds like something he would say, which makes them a little bit worse than us. But, Lucas, thanks for calling in. Any final thoughts before I kick you out?
Well, I'm really glad that Craig gets the boot when someone calls in. That makes me feel a lot more important.
Yep. Anybody who calls in takes precedent over Craig. But, Lucas, thanks for being here. And thanks for listening. I appreciate it, man.
Hey, thanks for going live. This is really awesome tonight.
Absolutely. Take care, man. I'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, hi, Craig.
Hello. That was awesome. That was great words of wisdom from Lucas.
Right? Yeah, I feel like we should just wrap it up there. Lucas covered whatever we were talking about right before we left off.
I don't even remember. It's been so long. But I will listen to it for sure because I eagerly want to hear what Lucas had to say.
Well, we talked about the transgender stuff. Lucas and I talked about the transgender stuff. We won't recap the whole thing because it doesn't really matter. We're going to get off here, but talked about that. We talked about I asked him if he had any comments on anything that happened or anything that we talked about in this episode, and he was like, well, the Roseanne stuff, and he talked about that. I was like, oh, taking it all the way back up to 2-3 hours ago.
Right.
We talked about that. We talked about the Nazi, and we talked about cannibalism. We covered basically all the important grounds, except for maybe John McCain. But Lucas just now commented and said, why didn't I give you shit for saying absolutely? That's the problem with podcasting. Is that anything that I say about myself, like I've said on the podcast before, absolutely is my go-to for when I have nothing to say. But
absolutely.
At least it's not Remzo's. Remzo's is you can go ahead and ...
Yep. I think it's great that we have somebody that's a faithful enough listener to pick up on your go-to lines and stuff like that. So
absolutely,
mine's probably just
Yeah, I've got that too for sure. But we're real here. If you haven't figured it out, we're the realest, rawest, livest show that you can watch. We are not Fox News. Lucas, thanks for sticking around. Forrest, thanks for jumping over for a bit into the bonus. And to all of you who are listening in the future, thank you so much for listening. I had a couple of other news stories to comment on, but we are a half hour over our scheduled time.
Damn.
Which was an extra hour. So you guys have gotten way more than you deserve. I'm just going to say more than you deserve. Not more than we planned for, more than you deserve for $5 a month. And we plan to do this every single Monday. Craig, you down for every single Monday?
I'm down for the time being. We may have to switch dates at some point in the future as my class schedule may change.
That's fine.
For the foreseeable future, Mondays are fantastic.
We'll announce it as it happens, but thank you guys for listening, and to future listeners, thank you for being subscribers, even though you didn't tune in. If you tuned in, you would get the courtesy of talking live on an episode. Justin Zielinski never called in. Justin. You know, the guy who said...
so excited.
The guy who said, I hope it's a live show because I'm going to call in. I guess he didn't quite say that.
Calling you out, Justin.
Yep.
Again, we're calling you out.
Yep.
Or anybody else who has the potential of calling in, who has this great new invention called the cell phone.
Mm-hmm. You don't even need Skype anymore. I am, just so you know, I am paying now for Skype to allow me to have the number 309-716-3818 that you can plug into your phone. And if you're listening to this live while you're out and about, you don't have to call in with Skype. You don't have to do any of that stuff. This is even better than TSID Church. You can call in from your phone wherever you are, and we will be there to answer your call and kick Craig out.
You can call with a rotary phone if that's all you have. I mean, we are okay with... I would prefer if you called with a rotary phone.
Right. You can have a burner phone, a phone that you throw away immediately after calling into this heresy. So there's that. And I hope you guys enjoy the new additions. We've made the AntiNews a public thing, so you're not getting a million hours of AntiNews just in bonus. So I'm kind of cutting that off a little bit, but we're still giving you a bonus. We're still giving you something that only you guys get. And I hope you appreciate it. I hope you guys keep tuning in. I hope more of you tune into the live broadcast publicly and the after party where we cover the headlines that we posted in the actual title. But yeah, Craig, any final thoughts?
This has been fun. I hope more people join in on the fun next time. I can't wait. Hopefully to join in on the conversations next time.
Agreed.
In other words, get your shit together.
That's right. This is a community, and we will continue to make it a community as long as the community chimes in. But guys, we'll talk to you later. That's it. There's no closer. Until next time, Craig and everybody listening, question everything and stay uncomfortable. Best we could possibly hope for. Craig, I'll talk to you next time.
All right, bye.
All right, see ya.
Sunlight, won't you come shining in tonight? Oh, sunlight, won't you come shining in tonight? Here you come again.